Good morning. I took yesterday to be angry and miserable, and I also took yesterday to make the decision to block my father, who will still end up seeing this. So, hi, Dad. Support me to the ends of the earth, and I genuinely do not need anyone else. I realize this is something not everyone is able to do safely, and I'm very grateful for my ability to do that safely. I cut my mother off until the day she died, and I can and will do that again.
She seems fun. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name is Luke Rudowski, here of thebestpoliticalshow.com, and we will be going live for the next 2 hours discussing all the latest and craziest news developing right now. As, of course, there never is a shortage of things to talk about, as we got crazy geopolitical updates today, as Russia is claiming that it shot down U.S.-made missiles. Is that true? As European nations are preparing for war, CNN is freaking out as their ratings are also collapsing, as there's a big conflict in the bathrooms of Washington, D.C. What's going on here? As Trump is picking some very interesting people to surround himself with in his cabinet. As, of course, that's what we're going to be discussing here for the next 2 hours. As, of course, we appreciate everyone sharing this broadcast with your friends and family members. It means a lot to us that you click the URL, click copy, and send it out to some people. It's one of the few ways that these videos and podcasts actually get out to the general public. And as the news breaks, we're going to be covering it as it happens live, as you guys could also be a part of the conversation. And one quick and easy way to do that is to simply just sign up to LukeUnfiltered.com. When you do that, you get access to a Telegram channel, and through that Telegram channel, I am in there right now talking to you guys, and you could tell me you want to call in. Callers will get first... What is it? If you haven't called in before, you will get in front of the line. First-time callers also get free products on wearechange.shop. And we, of course, will be doing our best to read any and all super chats, but we prefer you guys use Streamlabs with the link in the description below. We're also doing a little fundraiser for me so I don't go to jail on SaveLukeNow.com, which you should check out as well. As, of course, joining us for today's conversation is Alex from the YouTube channel Playing with Fire. Alex, for the people who don't know you, who are you and how would you introduce yourself?
Well. I'm a sex and dating coach who dabbles in politics. I mainly give guys dating advice, help them get a girlfriend, help them get laid. But also I somehow wound up getting into the political space, debating people like Destiny, Andrew from The Crucible about various things. And I have a lot of fun talking about politics. It's a passion of mine. I'm actually pretty up to date on like all the news. So it's something I do for fun. And yeah, thank you for inviting me. I'm looking forward to having this discussion.
And you're a liberal, right? Is that a fair way to characterize it?
Yeah, generally speaking, I would say I'm a liberal when it comes to fiscal issues. I would say I'm closer to a libertarian when it comes to social issues. And I would say when it comes to foreign policy, I'm somewhere between a liberal and a libertarian.
That's interesting. So, yeah, the conversation should be fascinating since we never get a lot of people that disagree with us usually. So we look forward to, of course, that conversation. And we appreciate you, of course, coming here as well.
Yeah, for
Martha
sure.
Bueno, also in the house here as well, smiling already, ready to go with her Speedy Gonzalez energy. Who are you, Martha?
Hi, and thanks for having me on again, as always, Luke. And I don't know, today I guess I'm going to be the anti-commie here, sitting here and debating you, hopefully, Alex.
Me too. I hate communists as well.
Oh, okay, good. Well, see, we already agreed. This is easy. And
we probably have a lot more in common.
Probably.
Than we even understand. As Dr. Simon Gudik is here as well. He hasn't left, and we're keeping him hostage.
Yeah. I hate liberals as well. So commies. Yeah, let's see. Let's make it a wild hour.
Awesome. And who are you?
Oh, I'm Simon. I'm hostage here at Luke's place, and I have to fill this gap here as an additional guest.
There's no other options. Like I'm like
okay.
Simon. Like
yeah.
We're not that bad. We just want to give you health care.
Yeah. Well, I don't know about that. But we got a ball and chain underneath his foot there. He's not going anywhere.
I mean, there's literal balls under his.
Yes,
Well, Musk certainly has been really vocal
there
about
are literal balls underneath his chair. As Stephanie is there as well, next to.
Hey,
the
everybody.
balls.
This is Steph. We are Change, resident button pusher.
All right, let's just get into it because there's so many different things we want to get into. Of course, we want to talk about the larger kind of media landscape and what's kind of unfolding there after the Trump victory. But I think, the biggest news of today is that Ukraine launched these long-range ballistic missiles into, of course, Russia. We don't know the exact kind of effects of these missiles and exactly what happened because of them, but Russia now is claiming that they actually shot down some of these missiles that are very difficult to shoot down. I don't know if they are legitimately saying this. I don't know if this is true. I don't know if this is not true, but they have also issued a nuclear threat against the Western world. So it's fair to say things aren't going that well for the people of Ukraine, the people of Russia, the people of Europe that have to deal with a lot of uncertainty as a lot of the people within the military industrial complex look to gain a lot from all of this turmoil, as we got a news report coming from Germany, specifically detailing how their army is preparing for potential war. Sweden, just a few days ago, was telling its citizens to prepare for war as well. And Simon, you had a very interesting kind of comment about this, saying it's probably all about nothing. It's not really a big deal. I think it is kind of a big deal what's unfolding right now. And to me, this definitely does kind of represent larger geopolitical foreign policy troubles that are not very easy to deal with and are far more complicated and far more dangerous than I think the average American understands them to be.
Yeah, but I mean, don't forget, Trump was elected and Putin isn't that stupid. He knows just another 2 months, until they can negotiate again for peace. And I doubt he's going to escalate it now. Of course, it's a situation that's worse, that we have to worry about. But at the end, stupid, Putin is not going to do anything stupid.
Yeah,
I'm convinced of
Putin's
this.
a little bit unpredictable, though, because a lot of people were like, he's not going to invade Ukraine. There's no way he's going to do that. And then he literally ended up.
He's actually
Ukraine.
pretty predictable if you understand where he's at and the information he has. So the information he had at the time of the invasion was that basically Ukrainian people were going to side with Russia. It was going to be just a rollover. It's going to be quick before NATO even has a chance to organize. We're going to take it over, and then from there it's just going to be a matter of just reaching some kind of agreement. I think I think he's a very pragmatic person. Obviously, he's also a killer, but he's very pragmatic. He's not an ideologue like, for example, Iran is. He's very just pragmatic. Okay, this is what I want to do for these reasons. And if you listen to what he says, it's pretty clear why he's doing the shit that he does. Number one is he oscillates between I want to take Ukraine because it actually belongs to us originally, and number two, I think the bigger reason he's I see NATO as a threat. Ukraine is a red line for me. I feel like Ukraine is going to become part of NATO. I see that going in that direction, so therefore I need to preempt this. So I think it's pretty predictable. I do agree that I don't think the chance of this escalating to World War III, I think that's pretty small. I don't think it's going to happen. I think if it would have happened, it would have happened by now already. I was much more concerned about a year into the war, especially when Putin was doing a lot of the posturing about using nuclear bombs. He was citing Hiroshima as an example. He's saying we won't even be the first. But I think at this point in time, that he's not going to do anything crazy. I think that it's unfortunate that this war continued for this long, and this is one of the few issues where I break with the Democrats on. I think that it was good to give Ukraine the initial aid so that Putin just didn't steamroll throughout all of Ukraine. But after 3-4 months, there would have been time to pull back and start negotiating.
Yeah, I think Boris Johnson and all these other politicians have blood on their hands.
Yeah.
They literally went to Ukraine and said, you think you're going to have peace here? You think you're going to have negotiations and detente? No, the hell you're not. And we kind of have to ask ourselves, why did we lose so many young Ukrainian and Russian men
And they found
here?
an agreement. They found an agreement. And they wanted to sign peace. It's like you're a sex coach. Putin wanted to go in and out right away. And
No foreplay, just 5 seconds.
No
in, 5
foreplay,
seconds out.
No lube at all. No lube.
Exactly. And there was an agreement, but then Boris Johnson and I think Biden as well, they said no, you can't find an agreement. You have to continue fighting. This is our chance. And that's where we are right now.
Yeah, that was a real shame.
Yeah.
No, it's going to be interesting because I'm kind of trying to understand these larger geopolitical moves here, and I'm like, why are we doing this now? What's the reason? What's the benefit of this, other than just trying to, of course, maybe potentially sell some missiles or signal to Trump that maybe he's not in control here, and that this war is, something that the powers that be want to continue? Because I think if you look at the larger escalations, it puts Trump's larger peace plans at a disadvantage. Trump wants to kind of come in there, he wants to negotiate, but if the situation is escalated that much further, it's going to be that much harder to try to de-escalate the situation, to, of course, lower the tensions, lower the fighting, and to stop this kind of insanity from moving forward. Because it does seem like the kind of intelligentsia, a lot of the kind of deep state always needs some kind of larger conflict. And I truly do believe if it wasn't for the Afghanistan debacle, that the war in Ukraine would have never been started, because it always seems like they need some kind of excuse. According to former Congressman Matt Gaetz, it's kind of a larger kind of money laundering operation, which also goes along with a human trafficking operation, which is also kind of very evident with what's happening right now in Ukraine as well. And sadly, I just see the poor Slavic people in that region just being sacrificed for no reason at all. I don't see the justifications. I don't see why we're escalating here, other than just absolute kind of organized chaos by a machine that wants to continue to sacrifice young men at its altar.
And who's celebrating it? Who's celebrating it?
Alex Soros is celebrating it.
Yes.
I agree with everything you said, except for the part that it was primarily the massive Afghanistan withdrawal that caused this. There was a lot of...
I would say the end of the Afghanistan conflict.
Yeah. The way we withdrew,
exactly.
and we left a lot of the locals behind. We left a lot of military equipment behind.
Just to be clear, it's because of that conflict ending that they needed a new conflict.
I understand what you're saying. I don't think that was the primary reason. I think this was always on Putin's agenda. There was good reporting at the time that he had a deal with Xi Jinping, because he needs China for this, that he was going to hold off until the Olympics in 2020 before doing this. There's been was a lot of reporting about this 4 years ago. So I think that primarily is why he waited until he waited. I think also it didn't help. I will agree with the right on this, that Kamala had some rhetoric about having Ukraine join NATO, but I don't think that was the main thing. I think it was always on the agenda. He just wanted to wait until the Olympics were over, because he needs China.
Yeah, I think most importantly, Kamala Harris kind of going to Ukraine and right before the invasion saying, this is going to be a NATO country, didn't help. But I think the writing was on the wall that this was kind of building up all the way since 2014. Since, of course, the Maidan kind of revolution and the kind of coup d'etat and the larger kind of turning of Ukraine from Russian interest more towards Western interest, which, of course, Russia didn't like. Ukraine, has a lot of corruption, has a lot of bad government bureaucrats in there. And it's profitable for a lot of countries to take advantage of it. And it's fair to say that Russia was previously taking advantage of it. I think it's fair to say now that Western interest, Goldman Sachs, BlackRock, and a lot of other kind of sinister other U.S. motives are also now taking advantage of Ukraine, as there's also now labs weapons facilities inside of Ukraine, as well, as Tulsi Gabbard officially kind of released that information to the general public as well. So again,
but then what do you think about Trump training the Ukrainian fighters after 2014?
Well, Trump was the first one to actually give lethal weapons to Ukraine and break the Obama doctrine. So a lot of people say that Trump actually escalated the situation that much further under his presidency. But still, there wasn't a war. And I think Putin did take advantage of a Biden presidency and saw it as kind of weakness, and saw the larger kind of geopolitical chess game at a better advantage to him with Biden in there rather than Trump. So I think, Trump, luckily that conflict didn't spark off, but that was one of my, rare criticisms of Trump, saying, I don't think this was the right move here, since it set us on the path here that we're on right now as well. Okay. So, but I believe Trump, and I believe a lot of the people around him when he says he wants to end the conflict, when he wants to end the war. And I look forward to that happening.
There are some appointment picks which are troubling, like the NSA. The NSA advisor is someone who believes we should have boots on the ground in Ukraine. Yep. So some of his appointment picks are a lot of neocons, which I think is concerning for the MAGA crowd, and even normies like me. But yeah, we'll see.
I think it was Ratcliffe that you're mentioning. Is
Whoever
that
the
Ratcliffe?
NSA advisors.
And there's the CIA pick that also, I think that's Ratcliffe.
Mike Huckabee, there was Elise Stefanik.
And of course, Marco Rubio, that are
Marco
all kind of
Rubio.
neocons as well. So there are, and the Department of Defense also
Yes.
previously was a big proponent and cheerleader of the Iraq War. So
Yes.
it is a mix of like some kind of weird war hawk neocons and a mix of a lot of populist peaceniks and individuals who, of course, don't want war, like Tulsi Gabbard, RFK Jr. So it's a very interesting kind of selection of individuals, as Donald Trump previously talked about how he liked previously having John Bolton in there, how John Bolton was pretty much in there because of a donor. And he didn't earn his way in there, but how he was kind of using him to his advantage to kind of bluff other countries to how unpredictable and how kind of powerful he was and how capable he was of potentially using the stick instead of the carrot.
As a Trump supporter, do you feel disappointed by that? Some of these war hawks that are going to be in the cabinet?
Well, yeah, we criticized it. We criticized it on our YouTube channel and our program, and we gave a different kind of rating system, saying this is a bad pick, this is a good pick, and we go into kind of great detail into our kind of assessment and analysis of like, okay, let's look at it from an honest kind of perspective here, because it could go either way. But I think Tulsi Gabbard being as the director of national intelligence, who's going to be helping with his kind of briefings, will, I think, put in check a lot of those other kind of neocons and warhawks in there. So I think Tulsi really is someone that the establishment is really pissed off about, and to see the kind of reaction that we have from the corporate media and the kind of deep state, as I call them, is very telling, and it highlights that there is going to be kind of significant change that I think is going to be for the better. But let's talk about the corporate media, because that's the main kind of title of today's live podcast, as Trump is saying that media will be playing a vital role in making America great again, as he is vowing to work with free, fair, and the open press, which probably doesn't mean MSNBC, CNN, NBC News, ABC News, CBS News, and all the other kind of corporate media establishment. Fox News also had a very kind of interesting relationship with Donald Trump through the campaign. There was a lot of kind of infighting, as a lot of people are also even speculating that it was Tucker Carlson, who was ousted from Fox News predominantly because he wouldn't stop supporting Donald Trump. And the network wanted a shift in policy. So there isn't any kind of love affair between Fox and Trump as well.
But, you know, behind the scenes, Tucker Carlson in 2020, he was shitting on Trump. That was, as a result of the Dominion lawsuit. I mean, they were all. I mean, I think Fox News
I think Tucker Carlson said that he wants Trump to go away.
Yeah, he wants him to go away. He's the worst of the worst. He's a piece of shit. Like, it was just like nonstop, like shitting on Trump.
Yeah, but now he's his confidant. Now he's at Mar-a-Lago all the time, and now he's allegedly playing a major role when it comes to picking a lot of the cabinet members.
If you kiss the ring, eventually he'll forgive you. Like, you know, his VP pick said he was Hitler, but then now they're his VP pick.
Well, I think the times kind of changed very dramatically, and I think a lot of people have showed their true colors through a lot of very difficult situations. So I think, you know, there have been a lot of people that, you know, obviously flip-flopped on him. Personally, you know, when there was room to criticize Trump, I criticized him. But overall, I supported him because I think he was a major disruptor. And if you look at one of the things he achieved, I think he absolutely obliterated the corporate media narrative. He absolutely stopped a lot of special interest groups from being able to pull the strings of the media establishment that used to talk in kind of unison. They said, there's WMDs in that country, we have to invade, and the American people believed it. And it's because of those larger actions and the continued disparity of the American people and the attack on the American people why I think Trump was this kind of larger caveat for this larger reckoning of the corporate media, as we're seeing the ratings collapse of MSNBC, as ratings are down as much as 50% for individuals like Joy Reid. Chris Hayes, allegedly down 47.2%. Morning Joe, 39.6%. 20%, as a lot of people are reporting that they're tuning in less and less to liberal corporate media outlets and also just liberal voices. I don't know if you saw this, Alex, yourself, but there was a lot of kind of leftist kind of content creators talking about how there was a huge decrease
for like
in
48 hours.
subscribers and viewers and paying members as well. What are you seeing on the ground here, since this is kind of more of your kind of crowd, I would say, or people that you work with?
Yeah, I'm familiar with talking about. David Pakman said that there was a dip for about 48 hours or so. And then I think people just got pissed off after the rejection, the liberals, that is. And they were just like, okay, whatever, I'm done with politics. And then like 2 days later, they're like, ooh, I want to see what he has to say about Trump. This is not really my world per se. I mainly do dating. So I didn't see any kind of a dip since I'm not tied to politics or to any ideology. But I've seen like liberal content creators talk about it. They say it was temporary. Just going back to also what you said, like I do agree that mainstream news sucks in a lot of ways. And I think it's fair for people to be tuning out from all the corporate media. I just think that Fox News belongs on that list. They were the main cheerleaders for the war in Iraq.
Yeah,
that was
absolutely
a right-wing thing.
Yeah,
so they should.
There's no denying that.
They should be on, and I think they just destroyed all their credibility with Dominion lawsuit, basically publicly supporting the idea that the election was stolen, privately just shitting on and saying no, that wasn't the case. I just think like after that, if you watch Fox News, then just like I don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to find a lot of Fox News viewers here,
No, I figured
or
that.
on this
Yeah,
particular
no,
channel here. As of
It's
course,
the death of
no,
the-
I was attacked by Fox News viciously for the start of my career. I remember Bill O'Reilly called me a jihad-loving liberal on his broadcast, and this organization was slandered viciously by Fox News many times since we were kind of major disruptors, especially during the Bush years. So, but to me, it would be interesting to talk about the dating and liberal aspect. I think we're going to save that for Rumble, but there definitely has been, I think, a larger kind of evolution of party politics. It definitely does seem like a lot of the very kind of important liberal virtues of free speech, of being anti-war, has flipped and is predominantly now being represented by the Republicans. And the liberals that I've known during the Bush years, a lot of them right now are really important and really significant Donald Trump supporters.
I don't know if I agree with that. I've heard this. This is a common talking point. I hear that now the Republicans are the party of peace. Now they're the party of free speech. But just the facts don't seem to support that. If we talk about in terms of peace, I mean, Trump has said that he wants to bomb Mexico. That's not very peace-loving. He bombed Syria twice during his term. He tried to coup Venezuela. He increased drone strikes by 400%. I mean, he was not this peace candidate that people make him out to be. So I think that's important to
Well,
recognize.
he bombed Syria after lots of media pressure. Let's not forget this. So CNN, MSNBC, they were all like, if he doesn't do anything, you have to feel the consequences. So he was actually just doing it to like feed the establishment.
yeah.
When did Trump ever care what MSNBC thought of him?
I think in the beginning of his presidency, he did care about how the media represented him. The drone number, I haven't seen verified, because I do know that Trump made a lot of the reporting on drones
Yes.
that Barack Obama made public, secret, and classified.
But only after a year or two.
So we don't know if those numbers are exact. I wouldn't attribute it to 400% personally, but we do know that he made it more of a clandestine kind of project, and we still don't know the exact numbers.
Which I think is shady in and of itself.
Yeah, I was just happy that there was no new war started. And when we look at the Syria bombing, this was a kind of wag the dog moment, which, again, we heavily criticized. I said, hey, this is not okay. This is the first time the corporate media was like, yes, this is great. They were cheering him on. MSNBC viewers were saying that he looked very presidential. I think there was one anchor who was shedding a tear for the missiles that were launching against Syria, as he couldn't contain himself with emotion and joy seeing the military industrial complex get their way. But when you look at that larger attack, it seemed, and this is the kind of scuttlebutt and information we're getting behind the scenes, is that the United States reached out to Syria and they said, hey, we gotta look good for our people here. We're just gonna bomb this empty airfield. We're not gonna really do anything, but we're gonna show force. And we're letting you know we're doing that. You guys could prepare. And it really wasn't a major kind of escalation. And to me, it was him trying to appease, I think, the corporate media, the military industrial complexes, and his daughter as well. That was one of the biggest kind of lobbyists for bombing Syria because of that kind of false flag gas attack that really didn't happen.
Well, we don't want a president who's trying to appease people, right? Like that's not something we want in a president. And second of all, Trump himself said that we bombed Syria to get the oil. Those were his words. He said that multiple times.
All the liberals were stunned. All the liberals were like, he said it? I can't believe he actually said it.
He said the quiet part out loud.
Yeah.
He said the quiet. He does that a lot. He says the quiet part out loud. But going back to the free speech thing, again, this is something that I don't feel like is supported by the facts. There was a report that came out either today or yesterday that showed that after Elon Musk endorsed Trump, he changed the X algorithm to boost Republican posts. This is everyone can Google this. Just type in X algorithm Trump, and you'll see the report.
You
that
mean
came
just
out.
how Mark Zuckerberg and the Google executives have been doing it for years for the left?
Has there ever been proof of that though?
The Twitter files, I think, is
Yeah,
pretty
the Twitter files.
solid
Twitter,
proof.
hang on. I read the Twitter files actually completely. That's not what was said. What the Twitter files showed is actually pretty straightforward. It showed that there would be requests from the Biden White House, just like there was requests from the Trump White House. There were requests to either take the story down or not give it amplification. Under
The Hunter
Not
Biden
give it-
laptop story?
Not give it amplification. Is that not exactly what you just asked about
for
the
24
algorithm?
hours.
No way.
Yes, it
That was peak election cycle, but then it also set up a chilling effect. And you could say it was only taken down for 24 hours, but look at the chilling effect where people didn't know if they could talk about it or not without having their livelihoods destroyed. You never saw that on the right. You never saw that with Elon Musk this election cycle when it came to any news or information being critical of Donald Trump. There's a lot of people critical of Donald Trump on Twitter.
He banned a bunch of progressive
engage.
journalists, and they got massive pushback against them, and then he reinstated them.
Who were the progressive journalists
I
that
don't
were banned?
remember their names off the top of my head. One,
Well-
actually, I can tell you one.
Yeah.
His name was Ken Klippenstein, I believe.
Oh, he doxed.
He did not dox.
He doxed.
The information
Do you know
was
about
already
this story? 'Cause I have no
publicly-
idea about
I am.
this particular
Yeah,
story.
He doxed
Simon's
JD
like-
Vance, private address.
The
and
information was
social
publicly
security
available.
number. But still, it's publicly available. He still put it on his on.
Well,
on his-
doxing means you take something that's not publicly available, you make it public.
So his social security number was not publicly available.
Did
but
he show the
afterwards
whole
it
thing, or
was.
did he block out the last?
He put a link to his blog, and it was public. So and then even the Krassensteins, like Klippensteins, Krassensteins, all the Steins, they were like amplifying it and saying like, look, I would never post anything, and they just put the whole thing center. So it's like,
I mean, the level of censorship, the level of right-wing personalities that were major Trump supporters that were purged, deleted, demonetized, and had their livelihoods ruined because of their political expressions was extremely huge. And I don't think it's absolutely fair at all or genuine at all to compare Trump, Musk allegedly tweaking the algorithm to what happened previously beforehand, where we saw an onslaught of censorship of political ideas.
The Russian collusion, the laptops. I mean, it was just so blatant.
The health scare and the health information. I mean, we have Dr. Simon Goodek here,
here.
who had
Right.
his
Yes.
life ruined for recommending vitamin D. Something.
Yes.
I fully side with you guys on that. During the pandemic, there was some crazy shit going on.
Yeah.
That's all fair and good. But
And the pandemic was exactly when the election was. It was that same year.
The pandemic was like 9 months before the election.
2020. It
2020
was
was exactly the
exactly
time when
the
we were all
timeline.
attacked.
So all of this
happened
was
in
happening at
March. It happened in March.
And
the
then who
election
did
wasn't
who did
until
that
October.
affect? Who did that censorship overwhelmingly affect?
Who did the what?
Who that censorship of the health policies? What political faction was affected most by it?
Probably the right. But
Exactly.
to be fair,
Yeah.
hang on. This is what I don't see is that like no one ever gives Trump any accountability for the fact that he was the one in charge during the heart of the pandemic.
We do.
And he was the one
do.
that put I'm sorry.
Operation Warp Speed,
Warp Speed,
we were
yeah, yeah.
criticizing a lot.
A lot, of course.
A lot.
And then a lot of us got censored. A lot of us got attacked for even
Yeah,
criticizing
that's
that.
a total shame. I'm fully against censorship, whether it's on the left or right. Now, I will grant
Yeah.
you that it's kind of like a pendulum swing when before under the
Yeah.
Jack Dorsey regime, it was probably swinging too much in this direction. But then
A lot
just-
in that direction.
Sure.
Not a little bit, a lot.
I guess we can agree
Significantly.
on that. I'd like for social media not to swing the pendulum in any direction
But
at
the
all.
problem is that now X is swinging in this direction.
Not as violently and not as viciously and not as unceremoniously as the left did.
And the blue
left-
sky, just check
Yeah.
blue sky right
Yeah.
now. So
Yeah.
I was just stating there are only two genders, and they said like it's discrimination against a specific protected group, and they censored me after
Sorry, what is
just like
Blue Sky?
Blue Sky is like
The left-wing Twitter-esque.
Yeah, the liberal
Never heard
Twitter
of it.
where everybody is going to now, like all the liberals. So it's the new social platform. I mean, I can just tell
That
everybody,
Simon
don't go there.
got you got, I think, banned, or you got labeled
I got
intolerant
labeled
automatically.
intolerance.
Yes,
as intolerance
for talking
yes.
about Epstein
On his
and
first
other-
day.
on the first day.
Yeah, that sucks.
He wanted the like the top whatever for getting banned on the first date. They didn't ban you though.
No, but they
tried.
they flagged
He
me.
tried
I
really
tried.
Now
hard.
he's flagged as intolerant.
But what
which
do you
is a
think? What do
badge
you
of
think
honor.
about the fact that, according to Twitter files, something like 40-50% of the requests the government made were taken down, and under Trump, it's like, I mean, under Elon, it's close to 100. So the government repressed.
What's taken down?
Like the government would reach out through the back channels and say, "Hey, this post I want removed, or this post I want you guys to, prevent it from spreading, so you like deboost it or whatever." That was happening under Jack Dorsey, and they would basically honor like 50% of those requests. Sometimes they would do it, sometimes they would not. Versus under Trump, it seems like he's been doing that like almost every time. He's been honoring those requests from the government.
I would need to see proof of that. I haven't seen any evidence of
I
that
doubt it.
personally myself.
I doubt it
I can
too.
pull it up if you guys
Yeah,
want.
yeah,
please.
absolutely.
No, sure.
But again, there's no way you could compare the level of censorship that happened under the leftist liberal kind of ideology and the kind of corporate media that was running amok and going after anyone on the right to what's happening now. As of course, Twitter allows a lot of people that previously never were even allowed to have a political voice at all. Individuals like Laura Loomer, Alex Jones, and so many other individuals that were just absolutely destroyed. Now, those individuals actually get to interact with people, actually get to have a conversation with people. And what we're seeing is a lot of people on the left are fleeing the platform, leaving the platform. There was a lot of prominent leftists
So-
after this
Like
election
Don
that said,
Lemon.
we're leaving. Yeah, Don Lemon literally did a video,
Yeah,
then
who
he did a
cares about Don
statement,
Lemon?
and then he
He's the
bunch of
biggest
tweets.
snowflake in the world. No one even on the left likes him.
Yeah.
Isn't he called Don Lehman? I was told he's not called Don Lehman. Okay, nobody knows.
Whatever.
There's no-
Lemon, Lehman, whatever you want to call him.
There's no respect on his name here.
There's
Exactly.
no person on the internet who actually likes Don Lemon.
No.
Yeah,
I think
Well, we
that's
can
fair.
agree
Don
there.
Lemon himself, yeah.
yeah, including himself.
Well, I
Yeah.
mean, he is married, so some guy does like him
Probably
enough
true.
to marry him.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
probably true.
technically, somebody does like him. but-
When they were getting
But they're probably
drunk,
cucking him. So
yes, they were doing other stuff that it's probably pretty awful. As of course, there was a major reversal by Morning Joe and Mika Brzezinski, who, by the way, is the daughter of Zbigniew Brzezinski, a big globalist figure. And they're getting a lot of flack from it, from the right and the left. And I thought this was interesting since Mika Brzezinski and Joe Scarborough went on MSNBC and just a few days before comparing Donald Trump to that German guy with the funny mustache in the 1930s, came out and said that they met with Trump at Mar-a-Lago in order to, quote, settle their differences. Here's the clip.
Over the past week, Joe and I have heard from so many people, from political leaders to regular citizens, deeply dismayed by several of President-elect Trump's cabinet selections, and they are scared. Last Thursday, we expressed our own concerns on this broadcast and even said we would appreciate the opportunity to speak with the president-elect himself. On Friday, we were given the opportunity to do just that. Joe and I went to Mar-a-Lago to meet personally with President-elect Trump. It was the first time we have seen him in 7 years.
Now, we talked about a lot of issues, including abortion, mass deportation, threats of political retribution against political opponents, and media outlets. We talked about that a good bit. And it's going to come as no surprise to anybody who watches this show, has watched it over the past year or over the past decade, that we didn't see eye to eye on a lot of issues, and we told him so.
What we did agree on was to restart communications. My father often spoke with world leaders with whom he and the United States profoundly disagreed. That's a task shared by reporters and commentators alike.
Her father literally created Al-Qaeda. Like, a lot of people don't know that. And was a part of the Council on Foreign Relations, the Trilateral Commission, and, of course, the Bilderberg Group. But a lot of people, like Brian Stetler, who blocked me recently because I was making fun of his love of the WNBA, which he took personally, is saying that a lot of the viewers are now furious that these people met with Donald Trump, calling it a betrayal. to their colleagues, democracy, and all of us. And it's interesting to see all the flack here. Charlie Kirk responded to this by saying, to be fair to their viewers, if I watched the show that told me Trump was a fascist who was going to end democracy, and then the hosts flew to Florida to meet with him after he won to make nice, I would be angry too. Yes. That's the larger kind of scenario that's unfolding here. As I think what's kind of happening here is they're kind of reading the room. They're seeing the ratings, and they're like, yeah, we better start reading from a different script.
It's a pure career move.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so, too.
I think I disagree. I think, yeah, like you should, even if you're far left, talk to people on the right. I think that a job of journalists is to interview people, some of them who you might think are horrible people, but that's the job of journalism as it always has been. So there's nothing wrong with them restarting a relationship. I can't wait until Trump at one of his rallies says, their job now is just to pretend like they like me. Just that fucking Minka and Joe. All they do is pretend like they like me. Kind of how he said about Megyn Kelly. So, yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, Trump went in on Morning Joe for a lot of his presidency, especially in 2017, where he said, I heard poorly rated Morning Joe speaks badly of me. Don't watch anymore. That's how come low IQ crazy Mika along with Psycho Joe came. And then in 2017, to Mar-a-Lago 3 nights in a row around New Year's Eve and insisted on joining me. She was bleeding badly from facelift. I said no. Wow. So those are the previous comments from Donald Trump in 2017 about Mika Brzezinski and Morning Joe, literally calling them low IQ. And a lot of individuals had a lot of interesting things to say about this. As Megyn Kelly said, go F yourself, guys. As a lot of people aren't buying this, and I think it's fair to say that they're doing this in order to kind of survive. Will they survive? What do you guys think?
Nope. Traditional media is dead, and nobody wants to hear them. So they're trying to do damage control, and I'm here for it. I think it's fantastic, but I think it's too late, honestly. Who wants to hear what they have to say when they've been lying this whole time?
Exactly. That's a good
What do you
point.
feel like they've been lying about?
Literally everything. If you watch, well, I don't watch their stuff, but if you watch it, you would think that Donald Trump is a fascist dictator who just wants to kill people. I mean, it's disgusting what they've been saying this whole time.
But what are some specific
did you
lies?
think that their coverage was?
I just literally just named up.
You
things
gave
that
a
I thought.
characterization of what you think they've been saying.
But
Some lies they've told. Like they've actually said that Trump wants to kill everyone. Is that
They've said that he's a fascist. They've said that he's a wannabe dictator. Yes.
But do you think they were fair and balanced in their coverage of the election?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think anyone on the left was. I don't think anyone on the right was. Or very, very few people were.
I think there was a lot of people more genuine and more honest on the right, and I think that's why they were able to kind of win this election. I think having someone who was able to have an honest conversation, actually go on podcast, actually go off script and not try to carefully curate and control everything made the big difference. I think the Joe Rogan podcast actually made the biggest difference
Absolutely.
this time around, since, of course, Kamala Harris literally only wanted an hour. They were talking about editing it. They were talking about setting up a studio and tightly controlling almost every aspect of it. And the only one kind of critical interview that she ever did was on Fox News. And I think it's fair to say that she got her butt handed to her.
Well, that all depends on perspective. Everyone on the left was saying she fucking owned him. She put him in his place. Everyone on the right was saying that she got demolished. And then you saw some of the.
So what did you think? Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched
what
the
did,
whole.
What did
I watched
you think?
the whole thing. I thought.
Like 15 minutes of it.
Whatever was released.
They're supposed to go on longer. They literally cut it off earlier.
That's up for Fox News. That's their editorial decisions. I'm not involved in that.
That was Kamala
wasn't their
Harris's people
decisions,
that were there that were like, cut it off, stop. And Brett Bard then described how he had to end the interview,
So what do you think? So what did you think of that
I
interview?
didn't think it was particularly good for any party. I think Brett Bard came off looking like a little bit of an asshole just by constantly interrupting. I think there were some disgenuine things he did that came out afterwards, which maybe not a lot of people are familiar with.
Like what?
Okay, so he remember when he pulled up that video of Trump speaking about. it was something about like the enemies from within thing, and he spoke on that, and he basically was saying like, no, that's not really what I mean. And then they just completely skipped what happened right afterwards, after Trump doubled down on that statement in the same speech, saying, yeah, I'm actually talking about people who disagree with me, basically. So that was like, if you watch the full thing, like what they cut right afterwards, it kind of just proves their point. But they very selectively slice and dice the one part that supports their point, just skipping the part where Trump doubled down. So I thought that was interesting that a lot of people just didn't get to see. I think it was more of like a debate or gotcha type of thing. This is not like a discussion we're having now, where I feel like everyone's pretty receptive to each other's ideas. You give me some interesting looks, but I feel like we're still receptive. Versus that was just like, okay, I'm going to try to nail her on everything possible. She got interrupted a lot. I don't know, man. Like,
it was a hard interview.
I don't think it was a good look for anyone.
I think she was trying to filibuster, and I think Brett Barr, gave her a hard time because no one else ever did. And we want to see a candidate. We want to see someone questioned about everything in a way that's not just kissing their butt.
Right.
And I think overwhelmingly, this election cycle, the corporate media was kissing the butt of Kamala Harris and being extremely critical of Donald Trump, extremely very kind of aggressive against him, his viewpoints, and absolutely lied about him
But you're saying
all throughout
the
the
left-wing
campaign.
corporate media, the right-wing corporate media was
Which is one company.
Well, Newsmax also, right?
Are they even relevant? I mean, are they on all the channels? I understand. Sure, Fox was biased
Fox,
here.
yeah, they're clearly
but overwhelmingly, that's one major news channel comparatively to all the other corporate news
there's
channels.
like 3 people who own all the media. So.
Of course.
And look, it's just like global news channels. So if you look into Europe, I mean, all these Bill Gates owned news channels like the Guardian, Der Spiegel in Germany, they were all like just saying like, don't vote for Hitler, or like public enemy number 1. And then about Elon Musk, public enemy number 2. They were going all in. They were always saying like, if you vote for him, it's going to be fascism. They were like, Kamala Harris is the global chance for peace. She is going to make the world great again, literally. And they only were giving like Kamala Harris all the positive
the
points.
Joy.
Yeah, the
She was
joy.
bringing the
Oh,
joy
yeah, was bringing the
in the
joy. And
campaign.
Elon Musk, like Trump, they said like, no, he's really gonna end world peace. And like they forgot he has been in office for 4 years before, and he didn't start any war. And this time they say like he's gonna start World War III. Like, did they forget or whatever? Like,
Meanwhile,
European
Ukraine is happening under
Exactly.
this current administration. They're like,
Exactly.
we're going to turn the page into something new. You are the page? You're the page we're on? I mean, I don't know. The whole thing was just...
I think Trump's policy when it comes to Ukraine will probably be better, because I can't imagine getting much worse. So that's one of the few things I break with the Democrats on. But I think his policy towards Israel is going to be worse. He's already stated that he's going to allow Israel to use the 2,000-pound bombs, which was the one time that Joe Biden put his foot down. It's like, yeah, you could use the 5,000-pound bombs, 7,000, but not the 2,000-pound bombs. And so he's already saying he's going to give Israel everything they want, which is not going to help getting to a ceasefire. I don't know how you guys all feel here in regards to the Israel conflict.
Simon is running back.
I was just getting a beer. No, this is still.
I'm assuming
We're
all
still
want
on
peace.
YouTube.
This is still YouTube?
We're still on
Oh,
YouTube.
okay,
so
not
they
for
don't
now.
like they don't like having
We
these
can
conversations.
save it, yeah.
But
Save
let's
this
save it for the free speech platform that actually allows us to talk about these issues freely. And I think you would be surprised by some of the people's kind of perspectives.
But I think we need to add nuance to this conversation, though, sometimes, which I feel is missing on the left and the right, which is like, the mainstream media just totally shit on Trump, right? Well, the left-wing mainstream media did, but you saw a lot of also the right-wing media just completely kissing the ring for Trump. I mean, you saw Tim Pool, who I know is your friend, so I'm not trying to insult him, but you saw Tim Pool saying that Trump was the best foreign policy president in his lifetime, completely ignoring the fact.
Yeah,
I mean, it's
except
kinda
for
true.
he's private. He's allowed to have his opinion.
He's allowed to have his opinion,
and that's not.
his
But
opinion could
when
be
you're
wrong.
talking about mainstream media, I agree with you that there is not fair play on both sides. And why can't we just have? How hard is it to make a nonpartisan mainstream media where we can listen to facts and there is no bias?
Hey, mainstream media, we're right here.
I think you guys are trying to do that here. I haven't seen too much of you, but I saw a little bit. I think you guys do try to be balanced here, and I feel like you guys really heard me out here. I don't feel like this is a gotcha interview, which is refreshing. But I think there's disincentives to doing that. I think the reason it's so rare is you get audience capture. So you get let's start.
I think it's probably. I would say it's like an agenda. Like, it's made that way by design. Like Project Mockingbird, you're just like brainwashing people at a low hertz vibration, like when you're listening to that radio frequency of the mainstream media news. You can like look up people that do that kind of research. It's just like a way to kind of brainwash you, program you, television.
The mainstream media is literally a branch of the government, and they are here to make sure that you repeat the narrative. And if you look, I mean, how many
if you don't even think, it's like thinking for you,
how
and
many
it's
times
just in your subconscious.
But so we're
we
just
seen
excluding Fox News from this analysis?
No, all of them.
All of them.
All of them. We're saying
Fox
all
News
of them.
sucks.
But
Yeah,
all
we
of
don't
them.
like Fox News.
No,
They're
I get
horrible.
that.
We're
Yeah,
not
Fox
on the
News is
right
horrible.
here. And also, how many montages have you seen where every single news is going like, the joy, or like JD Vance, he's weird. They all have the
kinda weird.
same. No, he's not.
What about Tim Walz?
I know.
And Tim
Tim
Walz is
Walz
perfectly
is
normal.
Fucking weird. Oh, I
Why,
can't
why
say
do,
this.
why,
Okay.
why do you think he's weird? Yeah, I think I'm.
Why he's weird? Like, have you ever seen him walking onto
I
stage?
mean, I usually watch him speak. I don't watch him walk.
I mean,
don't
you're
analyze his like.
you're
fucking-
sex and
yeah, I'm not trying to bang
like-
Tim Walz. I mean, like, he's not the guy that he's not really my type.
he's
But
flamboyant.
just to
Prefer Bernie
refocus,
Sanders,
but just
okay?
to refocus the conversation, because you brought up, Tim Pool. I'm not Tim Pool. I can't speak for Tim Pool.
Sure,
Tim Pool is his own person. When I was on his show, he didn't tell me what to say, and many times we had a lot of arguments, specifically about foreign policy, specifically about the kind of larger actions of Trump, and we were actually able to have fully engaged conversations about the issue that I think is sadly missing from the corporate media. Because from the corporate media, it's like, is war good or is war really good? That's the only kind of perspective we get.
Should we bomb Iran
yeah,
now, or should we bomb them
later?
in like 2 weeks?
Yeah, and that's the vast majority of corporate media, Fox News including, and of course all the other corporate media outlets as well. And I think this is why, talking about Tim Pool, we have one of his tweets pulled up here as he states how Morning Joe only gets about 28,000 viewers. And I think overwhelmingly they have lost a lot of respect. They have lost a lot of viewers. They have lost a lot of integrity. And it shows with a lot of people that are tuning out from them and tuning in to his show, our show, where these kind of nuanced conversations that aren't just about drama or fighting. We didn't tell you what you could say or can't say. We appreciate a different kind of perspective, and we like it. It's important to challenge your viewpoints. It's important to, of course, look at things from a kind of holistic perspective rather than just doing whatever our echo chamber tells us to do. Because I agree with you on some of those sentiments that some people are captured by the audience. But I think overwhelmingly that still is a lot better than a few conglomerates kind of telling people to sing in unison in the corporate media, which they've been doing for so long. And
I generally agree. I'm a big fan of alternative media, but I think that we're starting to see some cracks in the armor of new media just being super bought out. You'll know who I'm talking about. I won't mention names, but we saw that report of a lot of right-wing YouTubers taking massive amounts of money from a Russian oligarch for making a video that got like 5,000 views. Whether they knew it was him or not, I think is irrelevant. Just poor judgment on their part to just get involved in that first place because the money doesn't make sense for the work. So we are starting to see cracks in the armor. I think that's why it's important for...
it's a far more complicated situation since a lot of those content creators didn't know
Yeah,
where the money was coming from.
They didn't know, except for one.
So that's a big
But
kind of
the argument you would
correction.
make is they probably should have known, given how big the money was and given how little work they had to do.
It depends. When you look at the media landscape and the numbers and the amount of money that goes into some of these shows, it actually did kind of add up to what was kind of happening, legitimately.
But they were releasing videos that were getting like 8,000 views.
Yeah, their views were just absolutely horrible.
So like no one pays. Like we kind of all have an idea of how YouTube works, how much we can get paid for product placement or for that. Like no one would ever pay even someone really popular $100,000 per video for that video getting 6,000, 7,000 views. It's just not
You'd be
possible.
surprised. You'd be surprised. And also, you forget that like the left has a bunch of people on X and on all these
not denying
platforms that are just out here. Like JoJo from whatever Jerez or whatever her name is on Jers, thank you. She literally tweeted like back in the day, like how Joe Biden is a warm cup of cocoa. Like, how much are they paying her for this? Like, seriously, all of these, the Brooklyn dad guy.
Oh, Defiant.
Yeah.
They're all like they all get paid.
You know,
agree with you.
just to speak about this, because we talked about the story when it initially broke. I know Tim, and I was there when he was doing the production of that particular show. They didn't tell him what he could say and couldn't say. He did his show just like he usually did. He usually did it about social issues, not even geopolitical issues.
But he did make
there
some
was
really-
there was no orders. There was no orders given down, and there was even like elaborative kind of plots to kind of show that there was this kind of businessman, and they created like fake magazines and fake
Yeah.
everything. So for me, the whole thing was a kind of larger, potential, from my own personal, understanding of it, a larger kind of psyop to kind of entrap and to make independent media look bad.
I don't see it as a psyop at all. I think this was just. I agree that Tim Pool probably didn't know, but I think he should have known. I think he didn't really want to know. Just the numbers don't make sense at all for what he had to do.
The numbers,
the numbers-
I agree
the
with
numbers
you.
do make sense for his channel.
Yeah, the
and for
numbers
his
make
show.
sense. He
wasn't
makes a
putting-
lot of money.
But he
and-
wasn't putting the content on his channel. He was putting it on another channel.
Okay,
That was-
DC Drano got paid by Smart and Safe Florida to talk about Amendment 3, $200,000, and he made like very few posts. Like, this is a going rate. This is what some people will pay.
If it was on Tim's channel, yes, but not for this alternative channel that no one knew about that got like 3,000 views. That's the difference.
I think,
All right,
I think there was even complaints from the open DOJ indictment saying that they were complaining about not getting any kind of views, and a
And
lot
good
of the
on Tim.
creators.
But then they kept
do
doing it, right?
Well,
So
good
that's-
on Tim. He took a boatload of money to make content that nobody watched. I mean, brilliant move. Bravo, Tim. Good on you. I wish I was smart enough to do the same.
Yeah, but that kind of delegitimizes his judgment in my eyes. I will agree with you that this problem exists on the left. I'm not saying this is a right-only issue.
I mean, he got his money, he got paid, and he
But is that
didn't have to compromise his views. He put out stuff that nobody watched.
I mean, look at
But
how
this
much
is such
how
a
much of
Machiavellian way of
look
looking at
at how
life.
much George Soros, look at how much Bill Gates spend a lot of their money, and they do it in a totally kind of secretive, non-transparent way. If you look at what Elon Musk has been kind of doing, it's the total opposite
He's
of that.
totally transparent.
And that's the kind of difference than what you see on the left and the right. The left does it in secret. The right is under a huge amount of scrutiny, a huge amount of public purview. And I think when it comes to independent media, we are more accountable to our audience. Everything always comes out, rather than, of course, the corporate media that's able to hide a lot of this stuff away from the general public. And it's also fair to say that there are a lot of other countries, specifically also countries in the Middle East, that have bought off a lot of other influencers as well.
I agree.
And a lot of other foreign countries, but they don't face the same kind of criticisms.
Well,
And
because
also, Tim Pool started off on the left. Let's just not forget that for a moment. They've completely, we've lost the plot when we're complaining
he's
that
at
he's
this point a diehard Trumper. I mean,
yeah, sure,
Now-
but
now
that
he is.
tells
He's-
that
he's no
tells
longer
you
an
something.
old school liberal.
That tells you something.
It doesn't tell me anything.
It's the whole people.
But
Tulsi Gabbard was to the left of Kamala, and now she's right up Trump's ass. Like, what do you mean? Like, people change
Right,
for
and this-
Tulsi Gabbard endorsed and voted for Joe Biden.
Yeah.
The last election cycle.
There was a massive change
Yeah.
in Tulsi Gabbard between 2020 and 2024.
And RFK Jr. and all these people,
And
I think
Elon
that
Musk.
tells right.
And,
that
and
tells,
even
But I don't-
Donald
I don't-
Trump.
even Jeff Bezos. Jeff Bezos is like, we're
Jeff
no longer going to
Jeff
be
Bezos is a
completely,
Jeff Bezos is a
screwing over the.
businessman. He just didn't want to fuck it over with whoever's going to be in charge.
Well, he
But-
knew. He saw the writing on the wall. He's like, damn it, Trump's going to get back into office. So
Maybe.
let's
Well,
not.
Jeff Bezos wants to keep his CIA contracts.
Maybe, yeah. But I think
let's
with
just be
people
real.
like Tulsi Gabbard
Yeah.
and RFK,
His
I
cloud money.
don't believe them. I think this is purely a career move. Tulsi Gabbard was massively to the left of Kamala in 2020. People don't switch that fast. RFK, literally a year before he endorsed Trump, or 6 months before him, he was shitting on Trump really hard. He was going.
This is
at,
politics.
I
This
don't,
is
think, I don't think it was just.
And also, I think it's important to.
But just really quick, I don't think it was a political move. I think a lot of people saw just how overwhelmingly the left started to abuse the power that they had, and they knew that they needed to come together and put their differences aside, and that's why I think Trump had so many people from the left support him
I think
this
it's
election
much more
cycle.
insidious than that. Why did RFK first go to the Democrats, to the Kamala camp, and see if he get a cabinet position there before he went to the right?
He tried to be in their primary, and they absolutely, destroyed that from even being able to
Sure.
happen
I mean,
democratically.
imagine running for office and your party is like, no, you don't get to primary this guy, and then they remove him. And That's a huge slap in the face.
Totally agree with you on that.
So then you're
I'm not
asking
a
why
fan of
he
the
didn't go to
primary,
the
but
Democrats because they shit on him.
No, hang on. You're
The
misunderstanding
same
me.
way that they did to Bernie Sanders, even though he's not
Yes.
technically a Democrat. The same way they did to Tulsi Gabbard, who was
Yes.
literally the head of the DNC. I mean, how many times do people have to get burnt before it's like, you know what, you're right to walk away from the DNC?
Okay, everything you said is true, but you're missing the point I'm making. I'm not talking about in 2020. I'm talking about in like 2023 when he was deciding. Before he went to the Trump camp and made a deal with them.
We're talking about RFK Jr.
RFK Jr. He
Yes.
first went to the Democrats.
You understand that he wasn't allowed to primary in 2023. You understand that Joe Biden was like going to be the nominee no matter what.
Yes, I understand that.
And he wanted
This
to
was
primary
afterwards.
them, and they didn't allow him.
This was still afterwards. This was after the whole primary thing. This was well after.
I
This was
know.
after
I think
Kamala
you're
was-
missing my point.
I know, I
If
understand
you
your point.
are a Democrat and you are part of the Democrat establishment and you're like, hey guys, our guy's getting kind of old. I got some better ideas. People really like me. I'm going to run. And they're like, no, sit down, shut up. You're not going to do this. Of course, he's going to be like, you know what? I'm not coming back
But
to
you're
them.
getting the timeline wrong. Then why did 6 months later, after the whole primary thing was over, did he still go back to the Kamala camp and say, hey, I'm willing to endorse you for a cabinet position? What was his first
Where
instinct?
did he say that?
He went to. I mean, I can pull up the reporting on this, but
Dude, I missed it as well.
I missed that.
Yeah, I missed
I'll
that too.
pull
Who
it
was
up.
reporting on
Yeah.
it? Because unless the information is kind of coming from a legitimate source, if it's coming from a corporate media source or an anonymous source, I think it's worth questioning as well.
Yeah, fair
Now,
enough.
when I was interviewing RFK Jr. on Tim Pool's show, I asked him a lot of very kind of serious questions about his kind of larger ideology, why he changed on his principles, why he changed on a lot of his philosophies that were more aligned with the left. And you could look at that interview. It was a fascinating interview, and I didn't go easy on him. I was, pretty tough. I asked some really legitimate questions, specifically about foreign policy, specifically about self-defense rights, specifically about climate change and all these other issues. And I thought his answers, specifically about his larger kind of turnaround to why he was moving away from the Democratic Party, were legitimate and were absolutely honest.
The even funnier part about all of this is how people from the Republican Party went and jumped on the Democrat bandwagon, like now recently, right before the election. Like, it seems like the neocons all jumped to the Democrat Party, and we got RFK, Tulsi, and
Yeah, I'm
like
seeing a lot of articles here. I mean, there's one from CNN, one from CBS News, one from The Guardian. What source would you like to see? ABC News?
Well, can we get something
most
else that's not
biased.
fake news? Can we get one that's not the
tell me what
garbage?
The Guardian.
No, no,
Wow,
but-
that's
but-
Bill Gates
well, just
news.
tell me what
But
source
if
you
you read
wanna
one
see.
of them, who's the direct
Source.
contributor?
It was someone in Kennedy's.
But who's
was
that
it
someone?
Who's that someone, and was it anonymous?
Because
if
we're
it's
in
anonymous-
touch with the Kennedy Maha, and I
Right.
actually had a personal conversation with the advisor who told me that the reason why Bobby moved to kind of support with Trump or endorse Trump was because he wasn't invited. Kennedy was not invited to the debates. And that was a huge game changer for them.
Well, they were
Made
absolutely.
through intermediaries following a meeting in Milwaukee last month. Oh wait, sorry, I'm reading about this.
But
Also,
is
let's remember how-
is it an anonymous source? And if it is an anonymous source, I think we should, of course, question that a little bit more, unless
I don't
we
think-
actually get to talk
Did
to RFK Jr.
ever
and
actually
ask him
deny it,
directly.
though?
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Did RFK ever deny it?
Then
I don't think he was ever asked about it. Was
Yeah.
he?
Pretty sure he was at some point.
We'll have to look it up because I don't remember.
Yeah, I mean,
Well,
I
we
know
know
searched
that
it myself.
RFK said that it's not that he left the Democratic Party, but that the Democratic Party left him. So that shows, in his own words, his sentiments
Yeah,
towards
but
what
I
you're
don't think
saying.
you can take politicians at face value. They lie a lot. All of them, and left, right.
So does the mainstream media and
So
CNN.
I'm not disagreeing with that.
Yeah.
I agree with all
That's
your
why
criticisms of the
everything's
mainstream
super
media.
important to really know how, because it's like I said, these thoughts, these narratives, these stories are crafted propaganda for you to kind of latch on subconsciously. So it's really important when we're doing our investigative journalism and we're questioning that we're not just buying into the emotional appeal that we are whimmed to. We really do need to look into it and ask. That's why sometimes it's important to kind of go through those facts and be like, okay, where'd you get that? Well, who's saying it?
Yeah,
What's
this
the source?
this was reported by a lot of news sources. I can, if you guys want, I can take a little bit of time afterwards.
Yeah,
and
it's hard to
listen the
fact check
articles.
it in
Yeah, in
real
real
time,
time.
especially when
It's-
we're doing the show.
yeah.
But the thing that I would be interested
I'll send
with
you the article. I'll look into
is
it.
to make sure that it's not an anonymous source.
I just reached out to
Yeah.
somebody on the RFK campaign. I'm like, when did this happen? Let's see if I get.
Well, yeah, I don't think we can hold politicians at face value. Like, they lie a lot, left, right, everyone.
Well, this is true. That's, I think, the first time we've agreed tonight. All politicians lie.
We've agreed beforehand. I agree with you on Ukraine. I agreed about how mainstream news suck. There's been a good amount of agreement.
Yeah. We
and
agree.
in 3 minutes, we will agree on Israel. Rumble.
But I do believe the right is more genuine. The right is more honest. And if you look at Donald Trump for his campaign promises, it looks like he's delivering on them. Unlike a lot of other presidential candidates who, of course, win and then they're usually silent. They're usually quiet about it. He's backing his promises of what he said. He doesn't need to do that right now. He can just sit comfortably. But he's setting appointments. He's setting policies. He's saying what he's going to be doing, what he's going to be implementing. He doesn't need to do any of that.
Well, let's explore this, specifically how things he promised 2016 and what he delivered. So one of the things that he promised...
Well, 2016 is a mixed record that, of course, we criticized him on because he promised a lot of things. He promised to audit the Federal Reserve. He promised to investigate 9/11. He promised a lot of
there's
major
a lot
things
more,
as well.
even I would say more important macro things. But the thing is, 2024 hasn't started yet, so appointments and meetings don't mean much to me.
But it's not just meetings; it's announcements. It's saying I'm going to do this. I'm going to implement this policy. This is how I am going to be moving forward with this new administration.
Trump announced
so he doesn't even need to do that.
The announcements don't carry much weight with me with any politician. Trump announced that he was going to appeal Obamacare and replace it with something better that gives everyone health insurance, which would be universal health care. And then the bill that he proposed to repeal Obamacare was actually made it optional for based on the state to whether you're going to allow or not allow pre-existing conditions. That bill had like a 6% popularity rating. So he promised a lot of things. Like, I mean, like, let's just take something very simple.
Well, he just appointed Dr. Oz for the head of the Center for Medicaid and Medicare Services, and the Krasensteins are actually congratulating him on it.
I just want to see. I want to see action. Like, I just don't trust in anything besides action, besides policy. How many times has Biden postured saying that, like, oh, I had a stern conversation with Netanyahu and he understands, and like all of it means to nothing. So I think that we want to see action, especially something coming from a president. And if you just look at the actions, like, again, 2024 hasn't happened yet. Maybe he'll be better in 2024. I hope so.
I see the people he's surrounding himself with, and overwhelmingly, I think it's a great thing.
But isn't it more important to look at their actions?
Of course, 100%.
Okay.
Yeah, 100%.
So yeah, if we look at like actions, we saw the fact that he. Let's just take something very simple. He promised he was.
We're going to move over to the next platform, so we'll get into that because we're going to be transferring over from, of course. No, it's totally fine. Let's get into all of it. We're also going to be talking about dating and liberalism. We're going to be talking about the country in the Middle East. We're going to be talking about what other issues do you want to talk about, Alex? We could get into what other what other things do we disagree about that we could get into in a respectful fashion?
Fiscal policy.
Okay, we're more of a kind of anarchistic free market people.
I disagree with
okay,
that.
we'll talk about that because Javier Milei has some interesting announcements. We have some biltong there. If you want some biltong, it's pretty good there as well.
It looks terrible.
It looks terrible, but it's absolutely delicious.
German Shepherd took a shit and you were serving it on a platter.
Nichts gegen Deutsche hier. Ich bitte
Let's
euch,
make
ja.
the liberal eat this.
But it's delicious,
No,
actually.
here, take a look. So you
No, I'm
like a random thing.
All right, we're going to move over to the next platform, which is going to be on thebestpoliticalshow.com. Before moving over, Alex, where can people find out more information about you?
Yeah, just go to my YouTube channel, type in Playing with Fire. Unfortunately, there was a movie that came out with the same exact name to this, but you just type in Playing with Fire Alex, Playing with Fire Tinder, you'll find me. And yeah, if you want good dating advice, that's primarily what I do, and some occasional interesting political debates. Like I hosted one with Destiny a few days ago. That's going pretty viral.
I'm puking.
Maybe I can change your mind on that too. I'm actually friends with Destiny.
Liberal dating is going to be a fascinating topic. I want to get into the dating stuff. Let's get into the debate.
We know
but sorry,
Destiny's friends too, so this is going to be very interesting.
We'll probably agree when it comes to dating. But yeah.
Destiny blocked me. And I know why.
I can pull some strings.
I don't
Did you
think
pound his wife?
I don't think I want that.
I'm gonna reach out to George Soros, and then he's.
But the reason he blocked me is so pathetic. And I found out why, and I probably shouldn't say why.
Come on.
It involves. I'll just give a hint because I don't like the drama. I don't like that.
He's gonna tell us on.
So it involved his wife, Luke?
It involved. I'll just say this: dating.
Wow.
No.
I'll just leave it at that. Alex, sorry, finish your statement before we
I
move
actually
over.
think I know, but I won't say it. I think
Okay,
I know
good. Don't
where-
say it.
where
I don't
this
want.
is
I don't want
in
any drama.
I'll ask you
Yeah.
afterwards, but
Yeah.
yeah.
In private.
So yeah, where people can find me, just my YouTube channel. Check it out.
Great, Martha.
Of course, as soon as I stick a biltong in my mouth.
Simon.
Oh, well, X. You can find me on X, only on X. I'm not on gay Instagram or something, just X.
Steph.
Bro, that's where
As-
all the big booty Latinas are, okay?
On what? On
Instagram.
Martha.
Yeah, you can find me at Bueno for Miami on X and Instagram. Apparently, where all the big booty Latinas are.
You're in good company.
Steph.
You can find me in the studio exclusively, but you can find my digital doppelganger on X at StephWRC.
All right, we're still looking for a caller. We're not done yet, Atlas. Calm down. We're still looking for a caller. You could be that caller by going to lukeunfiltered.com and then going into that Telegram channel, letting me know that you want to call in. And now the conversation continues on thebestpoliticalshow.com.